draws someone to live in a certain place? Maybe it's the clean air, endless skies, and the lack of rush hour traffic? Or the comfort of having everything your family needs close by? Here, nature surrounds you, community welcomes you, and opportunity is everywhere. Whether you're building a career or making memories, it's a place where life feels just right. Bismarck Mandan. Make your mark in a community you'll never forget.
Happy 1 Million Cups Wednesday. How's everybody doing this morning? Woohoo! Good. Well, look, my name's Tyler DeMars. I'm with the North Dakota Small Business Development Centers, and I'll be your MC this morning. First off, how many first-timers or newbies to 1 Million Cups do we have this morning? A lot of hands raised. Awesome. Welcome. Well, hope you got your 1 Million Cups mug out there, and very glad to have you here. Hope to see you back again. Alan, Ben, good job for drawing a crowd this morning and bringing some new folks in. But if you're new to 1 Million Cups, you might be asking yourself, what is 1 Million Cups? Why do we come here every Wednesday morning at Dakota Stage Theater? 1 Million Cups is a weekly networking and professional development program that we hold here every Wednesday morning. We put typically a different entrepreneur, small business owner, sometimes nonprofit leaders or event organizers, resource partners that are important for entrepreneurs like we have this morning. We give them the stage, let them tell the story of what they're trying to accomplish, what their vision is for their business or their organization, and critically maybe what some of their challenges are. And then we kind of act as a community advisory board for that person. So we're doing a Q&A session, asking critical, curious questions of them, making suggestions for them, making introductions, kind of trying to build a network or community around them to give them the best chance of success that we can. So the question we're asking every week is, can we change the face of our startup community here in Bismarck and Mandan around 1 million cups of coffee? And critically, the most important part of this program is participation, is you guys all showing up. So thank you for keep showing up every week and making this something that's worth doing. All right, as always, we like to thank our sponsors. So these are organizations that write checks or support our program in other ways. Here are our Venti sponsors. We have a couple of Grande sponsors as well. Dakota Bank is our new one. Thank you for Dakota Bank for jumping on board here. A number of our tall sponsors here. And then a bunch of organizations that are in-kind sponsors that mostly provide their people's time to help help the organizing effort here at 1 Million Cups, but sometimes we'll provide a piece of equipment or provide food for an evening event we're doing. All right, so as I said, after Ben and Al present this morning, we'll do a Q&A session with them. So make sure you're thinking about, as they're presenting, what are you more curious about? Where do you want them to dig in a little deeper? What do you need to know a little more about? Let's make sure we have a good, robust conversation afterwards here. And as always, we'll start with some community announcements before we get going here. So every week we are celebrating every day with National Day Calendar. Today, April 15th, is National Titanic Remembrance Day. So it was April 14th, 2012 at 11:40 p.m. that Titanic hit that iceberg, but actually sunk in the early morning hours of April 15th. That's 114 years ago already. And even Titanic the movie, next year it'll be 30 years ago that Titanic the movie came out. So that ages a lot of us in the room, I'm sure. Yeah, of course, the ill-fated voyage of the Titanic. Remember those folks today. Okay, a couple community announcements. This one I'll take. So the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Public Library has this Family Around the World event. This is the 7th year they've done this event annually. So it's a celebration of the different cultures represented within our community. It goes from 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Monday, April 27th. There's music, there's some activities. Most importantly, there's some really good food and ethnic food that's there. If you've been there before, any Bismarck Global Neighbors has presented here a number of times. Any Bismarck Global Neighbors potluck is worth going to, because the different varieties of food you get to check out at these events make it worth it on its own. So again, Monday, April 27th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. You can check out the Bismarck Public Library website for more information, but it's a free event if you're looking for something a little different to get immersed in some of the different cultures we have represented in our community. Can you slide me forward there? No one? Thank you. All right, you, Mary. Anybody here from you, Mary? Okay, okay.
Good morning, I'm Caitlin with University of Mary. We started a book club. Our next book that we're starting will start next week, Tuesday. We meet every other Tuesday at the Mary building, the old public health building on Front Avenue here. We meet from 8 to 9. The next book we're starting is The Anxious Generation. It'll be facilitated by Dr. Christy Bitts from the university. Should be a great time. The first section that we're reading, or that we're going to be discussing, is the first 48 pages next week, Tuesday, but completely free, 8 to 9. We have coffee, treats, and we just have a great time discussing the different books.
Thank you. Isn't this the book Governor Armstrong read that inspired the no phone policy in public schools across the state? I think it was, so yeah. All right, Markel, you got it here.
Hey guys, my name is Markel Evans. I'm with New York Life, and tomorrow we're hosting a business webinar at 4 o'clock, connections at 3, of executive bonus arrangement, aka golden handcuffs. So if you are a business owner or know of a business owner that wants to learn how to keep and retain and award key employees while capturing some really good tax advantages, you can scan the QR code. We have a lot of space left, and I'm hoping to see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Markel. All right, Birthday Beacon. I think we have somebody here from the Birthday Beacon.
Hey everyone, Tom Seifert here on behalf of Birthday Beacon. If you weren't here last week, Birthday Beacon is a nonprofit. The goal is to give birthday parties to kids that otherwise wouldn't get one. So far, we haven't turned anyone down. I think if it's not this month, next month, we will hit our 300th birthday party in about a year and a half. So really cool thing going on. This Saturday, weather's going to be awesome. Don't worry about that. It's going to be really toasty warm, like 70 degrees. But starting at Jump Works, which used to be Sky Zone, we're going to have a 5K run walk. It's really more like a birthday party than anything else. We're going to have cupcakes. There's going to be alpaca and reindeer to hug and pet for kids, face painting, balloon animals. So the 5K is really a distraction from the party. If you're able to join us, that would be great. If not, please just help us share the message of Birthday Beacon. I know we're new to the community, so whether it's liking our Facebook page, telling others about us, or the 5K, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so this one's mine as well. So the network of SBA resource partners appropriate for this morning, talking about business builders webinars. These are a monthly webinar we put on the SBDC in partnership with these other organizations down here. And what this is as a network of advisors with the SBDC, we kind of take an inventory of the most frequently asked questions that either we don't have the time to dig in as deep as we think we need to, or we don't have the bandwidth or expertise to dig in those subjects. And we try to get subject matter experts to do a deeper dive into those. And then we do a monthly webinar that's free and available to the public that has all those different topics covered. So you'll notice this first one was yesterday. We missed that one, but importantly, these are all archived on ndsbdc.org, which is our website. So if you go to that ndsbdc.org/on-demand, you can see the whole archive, and there are over 100 of them at this point of these business builder webinars that are there that are accessible for free to anybody through that website. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Next month in May, we're celebrating Small Business Week, National Small Business Week, and we'll have an entrepreneur talking about some of the lessons learned as they work through growing their startup. And then June 9th, we're talking about startup logistics. So how to register an LLC or an S corp or file for a trademark, how to apply for your EIN, and importantly, how to do that without having to pay third party, the LegalZooms of the world, which do a good job, but our Secretary of State team here in North Dakota makes it very accessible and pretty low cost to get that done without some of those third party providers charging you to do it for you, excuse me. So Business Builders webinars, find out more at ndsbdc.org/on-demand. All right, any other announcements this morning? Okay, if not, and if you ever have an announcement, that 1mcbizman701@gmail.com is where to send it to. We'd love for you to be here and make that announcement. If you're unable to be here, just give us some details in that email, and we're happy to make that announcement on your behalf. Okay, well, let's get to why you guys came here this morning. So this morning we have Al Haut, District Director for the SBA here, and Ben Deetz, who's Lender Relations here in North Dakota. We're talking about National Small Business Week coming up in May. They're going to tell us more about the programming there at the SBA. So let's welcome to the stage.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming this morning, and thanks, Tyler, for allowing us the opportunity to share our message. My name is Al Haut. I'm with the Small Business Administration, like Tyler said. I'm the district director. Our office is in Fargo, and we serve all of North Dakota out of the Fargo office. There is a district office in every state. Some of the larger states have two, so there's 68 district offices across the country. My background, I started right out of college at the SBA. Most of my time has been spent in the lending arena. Back in the day, we used to process loans locally in the district office in Fargo, and 15, 20 years ago, they centralized that process, and I morphed into another position. Eventually, got to the ranks of the district director, and now I oversee the office, so that's kind of my background. Ben?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Ben Deetz. I am the Lender Relations Specialist in our office, so I work primarily with our SBA lending partners, helping with our access to capital programs. I have been with the agency just over 5 years now, so hit the ground running right kind of during the pandemic. It's been a fast and furious 5 years, but excited to be with you all to share some about our SBA programs and resources. We're going to start at the very beginning. So SBA was established in 1953 by President Eisenhower. So in the grand scheme of history, has not been around all that long. If you see here kind of our mission, not just here to start businesses. I think there's some misconception sometimes that SBA is only here for people who are looking to start a business. We're here to help you after you've started as well. So if you look at the slide here, start, grow, expand, and then another key part of SBA's programming is disaster recovery. So typically in our access to capital programs, we are working with SBA-approved lending partners to deploy that capital. The exception to that would be in our disaster programs. So, here we don't have hurricanes, things of that nature that we see elsewhere in the country. For us, it's more floods, tornadoes. Obviously, the pandemic was a national disaster as well that greatly expanded the footprint of SBA. But the disaster lending programs would be the exception to having a lending partner involved where SBA is doing the direct lending. So taking a deeper dive at our programs here today and how we help our small business communities across the state, it's very helpful to kind of summarize it with 3 C's. So contracting, capital, and then counseling. We do have some of our resource partners in the room, so I'll save a little bit of the counseling piece of the pie for the tail end of the presentation as we dive into more detail there. But with contracting, we've got a number of programs. We do have an 8A business development program. We have a gentleman in our office named Mike Cantrude, who's a good contact for the government contracting programs that SBA offers. That program is really designed to help businesses get their foot in the door with government contracting and help them grow their contracting portfolio. We do also have some contracting certifications, a veteran-owned small business certification, service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification, as well as a women-owned small business certification. All of those certifications are free to acquire. The application process is online through our website. The capital program, so that's what I spend a majority of my time in. We have a handful of different loan programs available, both to start or grow businesses. We've got, right now, a big push at the SBA. The Made in America Manufacturing Initiative has retweaked some of our programs as well as introduced some new programs as well to really drive home support for our small businesses that are American manufacturers. So one of our loan programs, the 504 loan program, that is really tooled to finance fixed assets. So think buildings, expensive pieces of machinery, things like that. There is legislation in the works now to raise that max loan amount from $5 million all the way up to $10 million to try and support some of our manufacturing activity. You might think, what is some of the cost of doing business with SBA? So like I mentioned, we work with a network of SBA-approved lenders. If you do get an SBA guarantee on the loan, there is a small guarantee fee that is charged to that loan as well. It's anywhere from 1% to 3%, depending on the loan size. That fee can actually be waived for veteran-owned businesses in our Express program. And new this year, we have a fee waiver specific to industry with waiving that fee as well for manufacturers. So if you are interested in using one of our access to capital programs, you would actually work directly with a lender, an SBA-approved lender of your choice, on the application process, on the underwriting. SBA's involvement in the process is we have policies and procedures that those lenders have to adhere to participate in the program. As long as everything falls in those categories, we provide that lender a guarantee on a portion of that loan. So for the small business owner, it allows them to access capital they may not have been able to access without that guarantee in place, or at least not on reasonable terms. For the lender, it helps reduce some of the risk involved with small business lending. And then for us at SBA, helps to start and grow small businesses, excuse me. So that guarantee fee I mentioned, when loans do need to have the guarantee paid out, that fee that we charge helps provide the funds needed to pay out the guarantees on those loans. So that's a quick overview of SBA and kind of the different areas that we offer programs and services. I'm going to turn it over to Al now, who's going to talk more about Small Business Week and some of our past winners.
Thanks, Ben. Before I jump into that, I do want to acknowledge we rely on the local lenders to process our applications. We don't do any financing without either a local lender or a local certified development corporation. The CDCs that run the 504 programs, often they do a lot of other financing, other kind of ad hoc counseling, advising for the businesses. So I at least want to give them some recognition. I know we have two CDCs that are operating in the Bismarck Mandan market. Dakota Business Lending, you want to raise your hand, stand up, turn around, make sure everybody knows you. And then we also have Lewis and Clark Certified Development Corporation in Mandan. You guys want to raise your hands, stand up? And I know there's probably a couple lenders. I know I saw at least one lender shirt. I'm not going to ask you guys to stand up, but just a heartfelt thank you guys for participating with SBA to help small businesses, because we can't do it without you guys. Now, Small Business Week is our opportunity at the SBA to help celebrate entrepreneurs and their commitment, their contribution to the economy. And we've done this every year since, I want to say, sometime in the 70s. It's our opportunity to take kind of the best of the best and recognize them. During Small Business Week, we also like to highlight some of the efforts that, highlight some of the opportunities, if you will, to educate small business owners. So every year, we're charged in our office with doing some programming. So the Business Builders in May, we're hosting, the SBA, I'm hosting our small business winner for North Dakota for 2026. We're going to do a Q&A and talk about her journey to starting, expanding, and becoming the Small Business Person of the Year. So that's just an education opportunity for small businesses. We also have a virtual summit nationally on May 5th and 6th. Free online webinars, talk on a variety of different topics. Great opportunity to just kind of pop into a webinar, listen to it, even if it's in the background for a little while, and pick up some tips on how to operate your business more successfully. The Small Business Person of the Year, again, is our opportunity to showcase these successful businesses. Nationally, we bring in all 50, I think there's 52 Small Business Week. There's a state winner from each state, and then a couple territories, thank you. Bring them into Washington. They get to meet a bunch of dignitaries. They get to sit in on some high-level training in D.C., and it's a great opportunity for us to showcase the successful businesses we have up here in North Dakota. I always got to plug it. If you have a successful business that you know and you want to nominate them, the nominations for the 2027 Small Business Week Awards will be coming out in September. The nomination process goes through early December, and it's an online process, fairly simple. If you're a small business and you'd like to nominate yourself, that's perfectly acceptable. So, and if you have any questions about that, please reach out to our office. I should have said, drum roll please, 2026 Small Business Person of the Year for North Dakota is Sandy Luck with Bully Brew Coffee Company out of Grand Forks. Sandy started a little, I think it was started with a kiosk, just a little shop, gradually expanded, got into roasting her own coffee, and now she even has a coffee school in Grand Forks to help train baristas on the inner workings of coffee. I'm not a coffee connoisseur myself, but there is a whole different process for doing that, and it's kind of cool. And Sandy found a need to help train some of these individuals to get started in it, and started her own school. So it's just a great story. I get the pleasure of presenting her award in North Dakota at the North Dakota Women's Business Summit in Medora during Small Business Week in May. Other winners, D. Decimus Homes, All Embracing Home Care in Grand Forks was our winner last year. Another great story, just kind of started wanting to help individuals in need stay in their homes and provide care for them so that they wouldn't have to go into a nursing home, and business just kind of exploded. 2 years ago, Sherry Harms, Leonardite Products, neat story. They do a lot of fertilization, develop fertilizers. A lot of talk nowadays about fertilizer coming from different overseas, and the tariffs and the prices and the transportation costs. And here we have somebody that produces that locally for us. Little local flavor, Carrie Weigel out of the Sylvan Learning Center, Bismarck and Fargo. 2018, Small Business Person of the Year. There's a picture of her and her husband with SBA administrator at the time, Linda McMahon in DC. So great stories. She has a great story about how she started in business with her mom, just working in the business with her mom, taking over and expanding it, and just a true entrepreneurial spirit and good story. Also, local winner John Simmers with Bismarck Aero Center out at the airport does again a cool little story for North Dakota that has kind of expanded what he the business side of things, from working on airplanes to now I think he runs the part of the medical transportation out for the Bismarck area. So one thing I should have mentioned, all of these businesses have had some SBA assistance, whether it be advising assistance from our counseling resources or financial assistance from one of our loan programs, whether it be a loan guarantee with a local bank or 504 loan through one of our CDCs. They've all had some assistance. And we talk about small businesses. What is a small business? Most people would say, well, if I have 10 people, maybe that's a small business. I think we'd all agree with that. Typically, on a broad basis, most businesses with 500 or less employees are considered small by SBA size standards. That size standard can actually go up to 2,500 employees for manufacturers. If you had there's so many vehicle manufacturers now, little independent operations, but I say little independent operation. If you're financing or building a car on an assembly line, you have several hundred employees. But in the scheme of things, if you're building a car, selling it, you're competing against the big guys, GM, Ford, and Dodge. So if you had 1,500 employees compared to one of those global companies, you're still considered small in that industry, albeit you have a fairly substantial business with 1,000, 1,500 employees. In North Dakota, there is 78,000 small businesses. You think about our population right now, about 780,000 people, and there's 78,000 small businesses. That's 10% of our total population that actually run a small business. That's, when you look at all businesses in North Dakota, 98.8% of them are small. And they employ roughly about 197,000 workers. Again, that's about 20% of our entire population is employed by small businesses. So impact for small businesses, they really do drive the economy. Another statistic, my last statistic to bore you with, is net new jobs. Small businesses create 2 out of every 3 net new jobs in the economy. So you think today large companies might be struggling a little bit. They're laying off employees. Who hires those employees? Who develop those employees? 2 out of every 3 net new jobs is hired by a small business owner. So that's a really important aspect, and the small businesses that we say is the driver of the economy, and that's why. A little bit about our staff. You met Ben and I. Wendy Klug is our Deputy District Director. She focuses a lot of marketing and outreach. And Mike Cantrud, our Outreach and Marketing Specialist. His expertise is in the government contracting. And again, as I thank the lenders for their support, we also can't do nearly, we can't help every small business startup across the state with an office of 4 people. And we rely on our resource partners. So with that, I want to call up the SBDC and Women's Business Centers to let them give themselves their own little plug. And as they're coming up, I'll just mention that SCORE is a group of retired individuals who volunteer their time to help people who want to get started in their own small business. Not a lot of we have a few members in Bismarck, and if we have somebody in the audience and I didn't recognize you, I apologize. They're very active in the western part of the eastern part of the state in Bismarck and Grand Forks, and they also do a lot of virtual counseling. If you go to score.org, you can request online counseling from any counselor across the country and find a counselor that might have the expertise in your exact industry. And then we also have the Veterans Business Outreach Center up in Grand Forks. SBA funds that center to provide assistance specifically for veterans who are want to get into business, and a lot of programming. Ben was fortunate enough to be able to present at the Boots to Business. The VBOC has a Boots to Business training session on military installations across the country. And that's it's for retiring veterans, service members, I should say, and kind of giving them some exposure to starting their own business after they leave the military. So with that, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Al. Yeah, I'll start us off here. For those that don't know me, I'm Tyler DeMars with the North Dakota Small Business Development Centers. So the NDSBDC provides no-cost business advising to entrepreneurs and small businesses across the state. In that no-cost work, we're a thinking partner in all areas of business, but where we move the needle most for our clients really falls into 3 buckets. Bucket 1 I refer to as startup or business logistics. So when we say logistics, I mean pretty much any place you have to work with the government. So incorporating legal entities, sales and use tax permitting, if there's any licenses or permits that are relevant for your industry, if you're doing any intellectual property protection like patents, trademarks, copyrights, we're a thinking partner in all those spaces. We know kind of how to navigate those areas well, making sure you have the right forms filled out, and your annual calendar of when you have to communicate, whether it's the Secretary of State's office, Tax Commissioner's office, the IRS, just making sure you feel confident that you don't have any gaps or blind spots there. So that's bucket 1. Bucket 2, and where we spend most of our time and energy, is in business development strategy. So that's working through a value proposition, to market research and market strategy development, to operations planning, to financial modeling. And that financial modeling piece is probably what we're best known for, and certainly where we get most hands-on with our clients, is doing cash flow projections, financial scenario analysis, typically in service of going after a loan or investment of some kind, like the 504 or 7A programs that the SBA offers. Of course, we have to have all those other discussions about the business to make sure we have good assumptions in the numbers and make sure our clients have a good understanding of their financial model. So that's bucket 2. And then bucket 3 is just helping folks build out their network. So events like this, where we're bringing people together, helping connect entrepreneurs to resources. I guess other specific instances is we can provide foundational information related to accounting and business law, but we're not accountants, we're not CPAs, we're not attorneys, so we can't get real deep in the weeds in those spaces, but that'd be an instance where we know a roster of folks in our regions that do good work there. So whether it's the right accountant, the right contract attorney, the right marketing professional, sometimes another entrepreneur, small business owner who's willing to have a cup of coffee with you. A lot of the folks in this room I've connected people with just to have a cup of coffee with. So that's a good bit of the value we provide too, is just helping people build out their networks. Yeah, so I guess just other quick things, like everything we do is confidential, so we have an umbrella NDA with all our clients. Nothing leaves our meetings unless we talk to our clients first and they sign off on bringing somebody else into the conversation. Mention we don't charge for anything ever, but we do collect data from our clients that we capture to show our funding partners that we're being good stewards of the dollars they provide. So that's really the only thing we ask in terms of a payback is that you give us the information and validate that for us if we have supported you. So just a quick overview of our SBDC programming, and I'll pass it off to Mark here to talk about the Women's Business Center.
Mark Wagner with the North Dakota Women's Business Center. A lot of what I would have to say has already been said. It's very similar to the same things that we do, and it's a great partnership that we have with the SBDC. I've been very fortunate to work with this group. But a lot of the other things that we'll do is we will actually start working with businesses really early in the ideation stage, where we'll start to talk to them about, is it a viable business? What do you need to do? What do you need to think about? Where do you need to go? Provide that encouragement and background. A lot of small business in a lot of rural areas. And that's where, when you're talking to those small businesses, that's where they are. It's Main Street businesses. That's the support we want to really be behind. We also provide a lot of training and event programs that do just like this, like Tyler said, connect people. Al brought up Summit, which we are going to be having in May, the first week of May, 5th, 6th, and 7th. That connects a lot of business owners together, over 100 actually, who will connect and they'll talk and they'll share stories, they'll share all the things that happened as they started their business and how they got to where they are. And that's the primary resource that really helps you get going in a business, is knowing what you have to face when you get there. So from our standpoint, it's really that type of thing, basic business coaching, helping you with the financials, getting you to a lot of referrals sometimes to Tyler's group and that kind of thing. But that's what we're here for. That's the reason for the partnerships, is to help each other out. It's not we get more than you get. It's how can we help the entrepreneur, and that's really what it's all about. So the resources, the programming, all of that kind of thing is essential for all of it. So step up and meet with any of us. We'll help you out any way we can, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
The resource partners are funded partially by SBA, partially by some state funding, some local funding. Sometimes I've heard, well, it's a free service. How good could it be? It's really, really good. Just about any client that calls me, hey, I'm a small business. I either need help getting started, or I need funding, or I need help marketing. It's automatic referral to one or all of our resource partners to visit with. Because we pay for SBA, helps fund the organization, it's not a free organization. We pay for it. SBA is a federal agency, so we are funded by your taxpayer dollars. So in a sense, you are paying for this service. Taking advantage of it, getting help from those organizations is really kind of getting some of your taxpayer dollars back. So great resources. As they're free, take advantage of them.
Just one more tidbit on the counseling piece, that I think in terms of, from our perspective, and I'm guessing Mark sees the same thing, but the common theme we see with our successful clients is just resourcefulness. The ability to show up in a room like this, the ability to reach out to somebody and ask for help and just get another set of eyeballs on your business or your idea. Like Mark and I do some co-counseling together, and Mark's great about helping with that, and I try to reciprocate. But every time I'm in a co-counseling session with Mark, I'm learning new things from his experience and skill set and perspective. So for us as counselors, having somebody else in the room is often really valuable too. So I think if there's one bit of advice that I'd have for entrepreneurs, it's make the ask. Show up in rooms like this. Show up at chamber mixers. Get out there and meet people and get another different perspectives on your business. Like I said, it's probably the most common theme we see with our successful clients is just that resourcefulness. So, give back to you, Al.
I think that's it. If you need to get a hold of us, and we're going into Q&A, happy to answer any questions right now. If you have maybe a private question you don't want to share in front of everybody, Ben and I will be here for a little bit afterwards. Come, we can chat in the corner. If you need to get a hold of us, sba.gov is the national website. sba.gov/ND gets you to the North Dakota district office website and has all our contact information. So feel free to reach out, either call us or email us. Happy to help. With that, questions?
Okay. Let's have a seat here, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Go up in the middle here, Ben. So Ross is on the mic bug. If you have questions for Al or Ben, please raise your hand, and he'll get the mic bug in your hand so you can ask that. I'll get us started, gentlemen. So just curious, what is, from your experience, what's the most common misconception people have about the SBA?
Wow, tough question right out of the gate.
I thought we were just warming up here. Just warming up.
Well, you know, it's funny. The misconception was sometimes the federal government, some people, I shouldn't say everybody, some people say it's the federal government. I don't want the federal government involved in my business. But fortunately for Ben and I, we work with an agency that is really here to help. The joke used to be, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. And, well, let me show you out the back door right away. We're not an agency, I don't want to throw a compliance agency under the bus, but we're not compliance. We're not going to come in and fine you for doing something wrong. We are literally here to help. And if you don't need our help, great. Get your business started. If you can, if you're smart enough, resourceful enough, search online, have your own funds that you can get your business started. SBA doesn't have to be involved. Go, do your thing. But if you do need some help, realize that SBA and our resource partners are here to help. We can come in, we help, we get out. You need financing, we come in with a bank or a CDC, give you the financing you need, you pay it off, we're out. You don't have to deal with this anymore. So the misconception is, yes, there is a federal agency out there that can actually help people and does good work.
Question here, Evan.
So with all the resource partners out there, what's the best entry point for somebody that's looking for help? I know Chamber EDC plays that role sometimes to try to look across the landscape and see where the best help might be. But what's the best place for somebody to start to kind of get into this network?
Any entry point you can. If it's you call Tyler and Tyler's on vacation, and then you call Mark, and you can visit with Mark to get started. Mark's going to get you to Tyler when it's appropriate. If you can't remember Mark, can't remember Tyler, SBA. You Google SBA or Small Business Help, and hopefully the Women's Business Center, SBDC, SBA comes up. However you can get on that on-ramp, great. Any one of them can start the process for you.
Yeah, just to add a little more to that. So this network exists across the country, so every state has their own rendition of how these resource providers meet with their small business community. And I would say here in North Dakota, we're very fortunate that we have a level of collaboration among our SBA resource partners that is not common across the country, and I would even say uncommon, just due to how well they work together and they're making referrals. You heard them talk on stage about how they'll sit down and actually work with the same client together at the same time, and that is not very common looking at the other spots of the country that they have this network. So we're fortunate in many ways that no matter what your entry point is, they're going to do what they can to help you. And if they recognize a need that you can get served by another resource partner, they'll make that referral themselves. So we're very fortunate to have such a strong collaborative environment in North Dakota here.
Go to ndspdc.org, Evan. That's the answer. Sorry, shameless plug. Okay, we've talked a bit about counseling, that capital part of your impact pie. So for entrepreneurs in the room, going in for financing and looking for financing, what are some of the most common missteps you see from entrepreneurs, or what are lenders really looking for that they're often not seeing in an initial meeting with a client? Can you speak into that a little bit?
I will say, to me, it's the planning part. How much money do you need? Invariably, we have clients that'll stop into our office and say, I think I need $250,000 to start this business. You think? So if I give you $250 and you find out that you only need $75, what are you going to do with the rest? Are you going to bring it back to me right away? What if I give you $250 and you find out you need $400,000? Now we're in a crisis situation because you need more money, and I'm not sure I want to give you $400. I was comfortable giving you $250. So just from the planning standpoint, I don't think I need this much. My plan shows that I need $250,000 on day one to buy equipment and have $75,000 working capital to fund my operations for 6 months until I can open my door and start selling product and have 30 days of receivables. So in 90 days, I get cash in. That's my cash flow break even. And there's a difference between true break even profitability and cash flow break even. And knowing that difference is extremely important, and that's where these resource partners can come in and help step by step develop your financial projections so that when you go in and visit with a lender, you can talk confidently, yes, this is what I need, not what I think, but what I actually need, and have the support, the plan to back it up.
Ben, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just building off that, I guess one thing I notice is I think sometimes when you're looking for financing, the mindset is you don't need to work on finding a lender till you're in that moment and need that financing, whether it's you're needing working capital or your equipment breaks down and you really need this new piece of equipment. But if you are in contact with the lender and kind of have a relationship established with them already, it's only going to help you when you do find yourself in a pickle or ready for some type of growth and going out to seek capital. So don't wait until you're there in that moment and your back's up against the wall for one reason or another. Always best to try and find that relationship and start kind of cultivating it beforehand. So when something like that does come up, you have a good contact and a good relationship to kind of start with.
Starting that conversation early can reduce the chances of surprises later in the process.
Right, right.
No,
Yep.
Absolutely. Question here.
Yeah, so financial is always, I know, a big one. For me as a startup, I haven't really had to, just because it's me, myself, I haven't really needed like the capital to start it. So what would you say are some other common mistakes that are happening when people start up, besides like money and asking too much or not enough? What are some other things you're like, oh, I wish you would have contacted me sooner?
To me, kind of the regulation taxes standpoint, if you're a sole proprietorship, and thank you for starting your business and operating your business, it's an important, right? It's creating that product, that service that you do is important to the economy. And sometimes you get, hey, I just need the money, and I need to sell my product. Well, you got to also remember that there's licensing requirements. You need to register your trade name with the Secretary of State. You do have to pay income taxes on the money that you make. There might be some, depending on the type of business, if you're a baker and you're baking product and selling it at different vendor shows, all very important. But you might need to have a licensed food license to produce that and sell that. So understanding some of the kind of the bigger picture than just sometimes we like to take to say you need to work on your business, not just always in your business. So if you take a step back from doing your daily production and sales, what do I also need to be prepared for doing the record keeping, filing my tax reports and things like that?
Yeah, the one thing I would add, we talked about this on our Boots to Business module yesterday, but we always like to share the BAIL acronym, BAIL team, so banker, accountant, insurance, legal. Financing aside, just having a good connection in all four of those areas so that if something does come up where you want some expert opinion, obviously you're an expert in whatever your service or good is, but you can't be an expert at everything. So having those resources ready to work with you when you do need some expert consultation in those areas.
Those are both really good pieces. I'll just add to it, specifically with the BAIL team, the accounting and bookkeeping system, that making sure you're set up so you have good data to make informed decisions with, and when you need to do taxes or whatever you're doing, that you don't have a mess in the books, because it's so much easier to spend a little time up front getting your chart of accounts set up right, getting your bookkeeping system set up right, not waiting until 6 months down the road when your books are a mess, and then it's a lot more time to clean them up and fix those things. So at startup, at a minimum, I try to talk to an accountant about making sure your bookkeeping system is set up. Just two other things that we see at the SBDC is understanding the market potential for your product or service, and being honest about what is the market potential for this. How many competitors are in this space already? How am I positioning myself within that competitive landscape? And critically, how am I pricing myself according to that kind of marketing position? That we see a lot of our clients initially want to underprice themselves, so they're bringing on business. Well, that can happen, but volume isn't going to make up for that. You have to have some gross margin in there that's reasonable, and that'll eventually help leverage the volume you're building. And so that's some of the common mistakes we see out of the gates. But thank you for the question. Evan, you got one?
Yeah, is the on the capital side, is the primary benefit access where it might not exist otherwise, or is it, hey, there I am? Or is it, I'll stop yelling at it, or is it cost of that capital, or is it some combination thereof?
That's a great question. I think the answer is some combination thereof. The guarantee is designed to help you access capital that you can't access without the guarantee. So SBA does have what's called a credit elsewhere policy, what really boils down to if a lender can provide you that financing without that SBA guarantee, then they should go ahead and do that. We're not going to be the answer every time on the financing side, but there's a number of reasons that it may not fit into a lender's traditional policy, whether it is a lack of collateral, maybe their traditional equity injection requirements are too high for that small business owner at the time. Maybe they just don't lend to startups, period, just with the kind of inherent risk with those type of loans. But there is some flexibility too with how our loan programs can be used. Something right now we're seeing just with aging business owners across the state, you can actually use an SBA guaranteed loan to buy an existing eligible business. I think that's something that a lot of times people assume that's not compatible with an SBA guarantee, but we are seeing more of those across the state just as different generations are getting that retirement age and wanting to pass the reins to somebody new. So good question.
That's good.
Yeah. I think I'll just add to that, Ben, too, and lenders in the room, if I butcher this, please correct me, but they often talk about the 5 C's of lending that lenders look at in underwriting, and really it's 3 uppercase C's and 2 lowercase C's. The 3 ones that are weighted more heavily are cash equity that you can bring to the project, collateral is a big one, and then credit or character. And that's typically, for our clients, that's where we see the most challenges, specifically with that collateral piece. And that's where the 504 program, the 7A program from the SBA really helps the most, because it's lenders have to make good, wise decisions with their dollars. We completely understand that, but it can be frustrating when you've worked with a client for a long time. You think it's a good business model, and then they're just hitting roadblocks with lenders because of collateral. And that's without the 7A or 504 programs. Those are good business models and good entrepreneurs that otherwise wouldn't get financed and kind of get their foot on that first rung of the capital ladder to grow their business. But
and I think, Tyler, the other 2 are like proof of concept and actual customers, right? So just like the 5, being an old banker, when you talk about the 5 C's.
The other two C's?
Yeah.
The other two are capacity, which is again, lenders, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the capacity of the business to cover debt service. So what do the cash flow look like? And then conditions, which is pretty much market conditions, the strength of the business plan, the strength of the market opportunity.
So maybe we're up to 7 C's now.
Oh,
yeah.
So, Arnie, are you putting me on the spot here?
No. I love you, brother. I love you. Question for you guys: with everything that you see, and Tyler as well, across the business landscape, for those folks that want to start a business with maybe 1 or 2 people, do you see any opportunities out there right now? I mean, we can talk about healthcare and being a nurse and all those occupations, but do you see any critical needs out there for someone that wants to start a 1-person, 2-person, 3-person business?
I mean,
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Timely right now, of course, it's tax day today, so accountants are very difficult to get into, but even around the calendar, we're seeing accountants getting busier and busier and harder to get into. So I'd say the sooner the better you get on an accountant's radar or a bookkeeper's radar to have some meeting with them. That's a common challenge we see, is just the accountant's client pipeline is getting more and more full. So that would be one thing I'd recommend. And I'll sound a little bit like a broken record here, but showing up at events like this and asking for help is always the first recommendation I make for folks who just don't know what direction to go with things. Lastly, there's an initial tool we always give out to our clients is a business model canvas. It's just a 1-pager that has 10, 11 different squares that are kind of the different components of a business model. So first thing I recommend is, if you haven't really fleshed out your idea, just do a brain dumping exercise, get your ideas out of your head and onto paper. What that exercise really does, helps you expose your blind spots of what you haven't thought about with the business yet. But those would be the 3 things I'd recommend.
Getting back to the kind of the rural economies, what I'm seeing in rural communities, there is going to be a real need for those trade type positions in rural areas. Plumbers, electricians, so many of them are aging out. We call it the silver tsunami that's coming in economic development. These businesses that are people are going to retire, and that we need younger individuals to take over those operations, and that would be I think a real critical point coming forward, a huge market coming up. Besides that, I would say really when you look at starting a business, you really have to look at yourself. I can tell you that an electrician, if you start an electrician company, you're gonna be successful. Right, as long as you're a good electrician and you don't miss the wires up and you burn down some houses, if you're smart enough to graduate from school and get your license, you're going to be successful long term. Are you going to be wildly rich? Maybe not, but you're going to have a very successful business, successful career, if you will, and do well. But are you going to be happy? If you're not going to be happy, then I'd say don't start a business, because you're going to drive yourself nuts and be disgruntled and angry, and that's going to come out for your clients and your family, and it's just not fair to do that to yourself. So look internally to say, what do I really like to do? What do I want to do? What's important to me? Can I give back in some fashion? And then can I assess the market to see if there's a business opportunity that I can fulfill while meeting my own intrinsic internal desire to be happy.
Anything to add, Ben?
Nope, all good.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Okay.
Question
So I have a question about your past and kind of how the SBA has changed over time, and then something that you hope that the SBA maybe adopts, or something that they can improve on in the future here.
Wow, great question. So it's perspective. I started at the SBA as a non-paid intern in the summer of 1988. We had 2 or 3 computers in the office with a staff of about 15 people at the time, and the interns had 2 computers. I got hired after I graduated, I think mostly because I had a minor in computer information systems. And in the year since I interned to come back to work with them, every desk then had a personal computer on it. And I think they hired me to help train the staff on how to turn the computer on and start basic typing skills. to now we all have laptops, we hotspot them. Ben was working on the way up to Minot yesterday on his computer. Just the technology aspect of it. We didn't have this thing called the internet back then, so when we sent out information, part of my early job was people would want information on starting a business, and they'd send a letter to the SBA, or they'd call and leave a message. And my job was to research their question, type up a letter, grab some brochures that we had in the storeroom, package it up, and send it to them in the mail. Now, go to our website, sba.gov/ND, download those brochures, that information, and it's all good. So times have changed on the lending side. When I got into lending, the applications were all paper applications, stack of paper about a ½ inch thick, where we'd have to go through all the different forms, make sure there were signatures on it. One of the programs I helped develop in North Dakota was called the LODOC program, low documentation, and it was a 2-page loan application for the banks to get a guarantee versus the stack of paper. So times have changed for the better. It's been an incredible ride, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my career. So I didn't need to leave the SBA to find something I enjoy, because I enjoy helping small businesses and enjoyed what we've done. To make it better, I work for a federal agency, so I understand there's some efficiencies there. Sometimes I'm at the whim of the political environment. When a new administration comes in, they change some of the programs. They want to put their own mark on it. So some of the programs that were great that we've worked with might have call it a different political flavor attached to it. So sometimes we want to stop using programs, develop new programs, so that the new environment, the new political party can leave their mark on it. And I've seen some very good programs get paused just because it was started by the wrong political environment. And it's happened on both sides. It's not one administration versus the other. Both sides do it. It's just that's kind of the nature of politics. But if I could change some things, magic wand is keep all the good programs regardless what type of a political party started it. And we've had some very good programs in the past that have been paused for not very good reasons, and that would be one thing I would change.
Good. That's right. Okay, well, last question before our last question of the morning.
I just want to tag into what you said, that you started a long time ago and trying to add into the team, with helping the computers. I teach at a Ham School of Engineering at UMary. I'm one of the faculty members there, and we have numerous stories from students when they go intern, and they can actually add to the team. So one thing that's good for all these companies is actually having somebody come with some computer or some technology expertise. Sometimes we look at these kids and they say, they're so young, what would they know? And actually we've had stories of students of ours saving companies thousands of dollars in $1 million companies, and we always think, this is a big company, most likely we thought of that, they would have thought of that before. But usually these new kids, they have different eyes for these things, or different ways to find solutions. So usually finding these new people, they'll be able to actually add to the group. And as you said, sometimes we can be great at everything. So usually these blind spots that you have, you can find so that's where I see that new businesses, they can add when they can see a blind spot, especially from the old business, because we want to strengthen the brick and mortar structure of the business, this older business, by just adding more technology or efficiency to it.
Yeah. It's a fun, kind of a fun story that I say that I was hired because I had a computer background and vague understanding of computers, could use them. And now that I've been here, I'm now the old guy in the office, and I need to ask some of the young guys, hey, Why is my iPhone doing this? Hey, how can I turn my Teams on so I get a better view? So it does come full circle. From the small business standpoint, finding the niche that that really serves a purpose and serves a need, even though it's a small niche. And computers can serve that, right? Especially now, you talk about cybersecurity is a big issue. Especially with our government contracting programs, we're pushing, the federal government is pushing so much cybersecurity effort into our contractors and it might be a plumbing service company that helps do the plumbing work at a federal building in North Dakota. But all of a sudden, they have to sign off on the fact that they've done cybersecurity assessments in their company and have it certified by a cybersecurity expert. So somebody that has that cybersecurity technology and credentials, it's a really niche business, right? But so important to help other small businesses, somebody that they can bring in and just do a quick audit and sign off that they're cybersecurity aware and their systems are okay. Little niche markets like that, little niche businesses can be extremely successful. So thanks for pointing that out.
All right, well, we are up to our last question of the morning, gentlemen. So Ross, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So this is going to be a little bit different than our standard last question. So we usually ask what we can do to help you succeed, but what would your advice be to businesses to help them succeed?
I'll answer both questions. Actually, first, you can help us succeed by helping share the message of SBA and our resource partners. We don't have a budget a marketing budget, so the way we market things is to come out and make speeches like this, help try to make people aware of our programs. So you can help us by sharing our message. If you talk to a small business and, hey, have you heard of SBA and their resource partners? You should contact them. Even if you don't need help today, please be aware they are here to help. So that's also one thing you can do to help small businesses is if you see somebody that might have a question or might be struggling even, hey, reach out to an SBA resource partner. They might be able to help. The other thing I would say is be aware of small businesses. We have Small Business Week that we try to create awareness. There's Small Business Saturday, the day after or the Saturday after Thanksgiving as kind of an offshoot to help highlight small businesses need sales. So you might get a really good deal on a TV at one of the big box stores, but maybe a small business in your community, if you saved $50 from buying that big TV, making a point to take that $50 and shop in a small business on Small Business Saturday, whether it's a small bakery, a small grocery store, or a small hobby shop. Spend that money at a small business to help create that circular economic engine, keep it going.
Great. All right, well, let's hear it for Ben and Al one more time. Gentlemen,
thank
you for your time this morning. Thank you for being here with us and the work you do with the SBA. It's appreciated. So I got to get up and see. All right, coming up here at 1 Million Cups next week, April 22nd, we have a creative collaboration. Tasha Rochelle and Kelly Sand are going to be here talking about a partnership they have going on. Another resource partner on April 29th, Drew Combs with the North Dakota Trade Office is going to be here talking about international trade. And then North Dakota Nurse Honor Guard on May 6th. That is coming up in a few weeks here. So that's what we have coming up at 1 Million Cups. Here are the different ways to stay in the loop. It's what's happening with our program, our YouTube channel. On the right over there is where all of our programs are live streamed and archived. So you can watch them all there. Facebook is always a good way to stay in the loop and see what's coming up here at 1 Million Cups. And I think that is all we have for you this week. So thank you all so much.